Part 6. The Weight of the Crown. How Marcus Aurelius faced anxiety, pressure, and uncertainty. From a distance, power looks simple. People imagine that if they could only achieve enough success, earn enough money, gain enough influence, reach a high enough position, their worries would disappear, their fears would vanish, their lives would finally become peaceful. Marcus Aurelius knew otherwise, because he lived at the very summit of power, and from that height, he could see something many people never realize. Every level of life carries its own burdens. The poor worry about survival. The wealthy worry about loss. The unknown seek recognition. The famous seek privacy. The powerless seek influence. The powerful fear of making the wrong decision. Different circumstances. The same human mind. And the same tendency toward anxiety. As emperor, Marcus carried responsibilities almost impossible to imagine. Every sunrise brought reports from distant provinces, news of military conflicts, economic concerns, political tensions, natural disasters. Diseases are spreading through cities, threats emerging along Rome's borders. Every decision carried consequences. Every choice affects lives. And unlike ordinary citizens, Marcus could not simply walk away. There was no one above him, no higher authority to carry the burden. The responsibility stopped with him. Imagine waking every morning knowing that thousands of people depended upon your judgment. Imagine knowing that a single mistake could affect an entire empire. Most people would feel overwhelmed. Many would collapse under such pressure. Yet somehow Marcus remained remarkably steady. Not because he was fearless, not because he was immune to anxiety, but because he understood something profound about uncertainty. He accepted it. Most anxiety begins with a demand for certainty. The mind says, I need to know what will happen. I need guarantees. I need complete control. But life has never offered these things. The future has always remained uncertain. Marcus understood this reality more clearly than most. Every military campaign carries unknown risks. Every political decision involved variables beyond prediction. Every day unfolded according to forces larger than any individual. And so he stopped demanding certainty from an uncertain world. Instead, he focused on preparation. This distinction changed everything. Many people try to predict the future. Marcus focused on preparing for it. Many people seek guarantees. Marcus cultivated resilience. Many people fear uncertainty. Marcus trained himself to meet uncertainty with courage. Think about a sailor crossing the sea. The sailor cannot control the wind, cannot command the waves, cannot eliminate storms. But the sailor can strengthen the ship, study navigation, prepare supplies, develop a skill. The Stoics believed life worked the same way. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can strengthen yourself. And a strong mind fears uncertainty less than a fragile one. This became one of Marcus Aurelius' greatest sources of peace. Whenever anxiety appeared, he returned to a simple question. What is mine to do right now? Not tomorrow. Not next year. Not after every uncertainty disappears. Right now? This question anchored him in the present moment. Because anxiety often drags the mind into imaginary futures. A future where everything goes wrong. A future filled with disasters. A future constructed entirely by fear. Marcus recognized this habit within himself, and he refused to follow it blindly. Instead, he returned to reality. The actual task before him. The actual decision is before him. The actual responsibility is before him. Not imagined problems. Real ones. One step at a time. One decision at a time. One day at a time. This is how he carried enormous burdens without being crushed by them. He stopped trying to carry tomorrow. Most people exhaust themselves by carrying problems that have not arrived, arguments that have not happened, failures that have not occurred, losses that may never come. Marcus would remind himself, the future is not asking for your attention today. The present is. This did not eliminate uncertainty, but it prevented uncertainty from consuming his life. As years passed, Marcus faced challenges that tested every Stoic principle he valued. Wars erupted along Rome's northern frontiers. Entire regions became unstable. Disease swept through populations. Friends died. Trusted advisors disappeared. People he cared about suffered. Again and again, reality reminded him that life is fragile. And yet these hardships deepened his wisdom. Because every challenge forced him to confront a difficult truth. Control is limited. No amount of power could stop aging. No amount of authority could prevent death. No amount of influence could guarantee safety. At first, this realization sounds discouraging. But for Marcus, it became liberating. Because once you stop demanding impossible control, your energy becomes available for what actually matters. Character, judgment, integrity, purpose. These remain within reach, even when circumstances do not. One evening after receiving troubling news from the frontier, Marcus reportedly spent hours reflecting alone. The reports were serious. Lives were at risk. Difficult decisions would soon be required. The future remained uncertain. Many leaders would have become consumed by panic. Others would have distracted themselves. Some would have blamed others. Marcus chose reflection, because reflection creates clarity, and clarity is invaluable during difficult times. As he sat alone, perhaps he reminded himself of something he had written many times before. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Notice how often this lesson returns. Again and again, throughout his life, throughout his writings. Because Marcus knew the mind constantly forgets, especially during moments of stress. When pressure rises, people return to old habits. Fear, worry, anger, despair. The Stoic practice was not about learning wisdom once. It was about remembering wisdom repeatedly. And Marcus practiced relentlessly. Some nights, he likely felt exhausted. Some mornings, he likely doubted himself. Some days, he probably wished life were easier. Yet he continued. Because discipline matters most when motivation disappears. This is another lesson modern audiences often need. People wait until they feel ready. Marcus acted regardless of feeling. He did not wait to feel courageous before acting courageously. He did not wait to feel calm before practicing calm. He understood that character grows through action, not intention, not wishes. Action. Imagine standing at the edge of a cold river. You can think about entering the water all day. You can discuss it, analyze it, plan it, but eventually you must step in. The Stoics believed life works the same way. Wisdom must become practice. Otherwise, it remains a theory. Marcus transformed philosophy into action. Every difficult day became training. Every uncertainty became practice. Every challenge became an opportunity to strengthen his character. This mindset changed how he viewed adversity. Most people ask, why is this happening to me? Marcus asked, what can this teach me? Most people resist difficulty. Marcus searched for growth within it. Most people see obstacles. Marcus searched for opportunities to practice virtue, patience, courage, justice, temperance, the very qualities Stoicism valued most. This did not make hardship pleasant, but it gave hardship purpose, and purpose transforms suffering. A burden carried meaningfully feels lighter than a burden carried resentfully. As the years passed, Marcus developed a remarkable kind of confidence. Not confident that everything would work out perfectly. Life had taught him otherwise. Instead, confidence in his ability to respond. This is one of the most powerful forms of confidence a person can possess. No confidence in circumstances. Confidence in character. The belief that whatever happens, you can face it. Whatever changes, you can adapt. Whatever challenge arrives, you can meet it with dignity. This confidence cannot be purchased. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be granted by status. It must be built, day by day, choice by choice, challenge by challenge. Marcus built it through practice, through reflection, through discipline, through years of confronting uncertainty rather than running from it. And perhaps that is why his story continues to resonate today. Because modern life is filled with uncertainty. People worry about careers, relationships, finances, health, technology, the future. The list never ends. Yet Marcus would offer the same wisdom he offered himself centuries ago. The future is uncertain. It always has been. But uncertainty is not the enemy. The enemy is allowing uncertainty to rob you of the present moment. Prepare for tomorrow, but live today. Plan wisely, but do not surrender your peace. Act responsibly, but release what lies beyond your control. As another dawn approached over Rome, Marcus once again rose before the city. The responsibilities of an empire still awaited. The challenges had not disappeared. The uncertainties remained. The pressures continued. Yet he felt ready. not because he knew exactly what would happen, but because he trusted the person he was becoming. And in the end, that was enough. For the strongest foundation in an uncertain world is not certainty itself. It is character. And every morning before dawn, Marcus Aurelius strengthened that foundation once more. Quietly, patiently, one thought at a time, one choice at a time, one sunrise at a time. Part 7. The Shadow Beside the Throne. How Marcus Aurelius Faced Death Without Fear. There was a companion who followed Marcus Aurelius everywhere. It sat beside him during victories. It stood beside him during battles. It waited quietly in palace corridors. It accompanied him during celebrations. It followed him into moments of joy, and it followed him into moments of sorrow. Unlike his advisors, it never left. Unlike his soldiers, it never slept. Unlike his enemies, it never surrendered. This companion was death. Most people spend their lives trying not to think about it. They avoid the subject, change the conversation, distract themselves, pretend there will always be more time, more opportunities, more tomorrows. Marcus Aurelius chose a different path. He looked directly at mortality, not because he was obsessed with death, but because he wanted to understand life. And in doing so, he discovered something that many people spend their entire lives missing. The fear of death often prevents people from truly living. Imagine two people walking through a beautiful garden. One constantly worries about when the walk will end. The other appreciates every flower, every breeze, every ray of sunlight. Both walks eventually end, but only one person truly experiences the journey. Marcus understood this. He saw that mortality was not merely an ending. It was a teacher, perhaps the greatest teacher of all. Every morning before dawn, when silence filled the palace and Rome still slept, Marcus often reflected on the temporary nature of existence. The empire seemed enormous, yet he knew empires eventually disappeared. Great cities crumbled. Powerful rulers were forgotten. Famous names faded into history. Even Rome itself would not last forever. Everything changed. Everything passed. Everything moved according to nature. At first, this realization can feel unsettling. People want permanence, security, certainty. They want the people they love to remain forever. They want their health to remain forever, their success, their youth, their possessions. But life offers no such promise. And Marcus believed that resisting this truth only creates suffering. Imagine trying to hold water tightly in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Life often works the same way. The more desperately we cling to permanence, the more anxiety we create. Marcus learned to appreciate things without demanding that they last forever. This is one of the deepest lessons of Stoicism. Love fully, appreciate deeply, but remember that everything is temporary. Not to become detached, not to become cold, but to become grateful. Gratitude grows when we understand that nothing is guaranteed. Think about the people in your life. How often do we assume they will always be there? How often do we postpone conversations? Postpone forgiveness? Postpone expressing appreciation? Always believing there will be another opportunity. Marcus refused to live that way. The awareness of mortality sharpened his attention. Every interaction became more meaningful. Every sunrise became more valuable. Every moment carried weight, because every moment was finite. As emperor, Marcus witnessed death often. Wars claimed countless lives. Disease swept through cities. Friends disappeared. Family members passed away. Children died. Soldiers died. Citizens died. No amount of power could prevent this reality. And perhaps that was one of the most difficult lessons he ever learned. The crown could command armies, but it could not command time. The throne could influence nations, but it could not negotiate with mortality. Marcus gradually accepted what many people spend their lives fighting. Death is not a mistake in the design of life. It is part of the design. The Stoics often compared human life to a leaf on a tree. For a season it grows. It dances in sunlight. It moves with the wind. Then eventually it falls. Another leaf takes its place. The cycle continues. Nature does not mourn this process. Nature embraces it. Marcus believed human beings are part of that same natural order. We arrive. We live. We contribute. We leave. And while this truth may sound somber, Marcus found profound peace within it. Because once death is accepted, life becomes clearer. Suddenly, many worries lose their importance. The argument that seemed so significant becomes trivial. The criticism that felt devastating loses its power. The pursuit of approval becomes less urgent. Petty conflicts appear smaller. The ego appears less important. What remains are the things that truly matter: character, wisdom, kindness, service, love, presence. Marcus often reminded himself that one day he would no longer exist. And rather than depressing him, this realization focused him. It forced him to ask, if life is limited, how should I spend today? Not next year, not someday, today. This question transformed the way he lived. Because mortality creates urgency, not panic, not fear, purpose. Imagine discovering that you only have 1 week remaining in a beautiful city. Would you waste those days complaining endlessly? Would you spend all your time worrying about minor inconveniences? Or would you pay attention? Would you appreciate the experience more deeply? Marcus believed life itself should be approached this way, as a precious visit, not a permanent possession. One evening, after a long day of governing, Marcus sat alone and reflected upon the countless rulers who had come before him. Great emperors, powerful generals, celebrated politicians, men whose names once inspired fear throughout the known world. Where were they now? Gone. Their ambitions, gone. Their rivalries, gone. Their worries, gone. The things that consumed their thoughts had vanished with them. This perspective humbled him, and humility protected him from arrogance. How can someone become excessively proud when they remember that every human being shares the same destination? The Stoics believed mortality is the great equalizer. Kings and laborers, rich and poor, famous and unknown. Eventually, all return to the same silence. Marcus found comfort in this. It reminded him that status is temporary. Titles are temporary. Recognition is temporary. What endures is the quality of one's actions while alive. This is why he cared so deeply about virtue. Because virtue remains valuable regardless of circumstance. A kind act matters. A courageous decision matters. An honest life matters. Even when applause disappears. Even when recognition never comes. Even when history forgets. As years passed, Marcus developed a relationship with death very different from the one most people experience. He stopped viewing it as an enemy. Instead, he viewed it as a reminder. A reminder to live deliberately. A reminder not to waste time. A reminder to focus on what truly matters. A reminder that every morning is a gift. And perhaps this is why he continued waking before dawn. Because he understood that each sunrise represented something extraordinary. Another chance. Another opportunity. Another day to practice wisdom. Another day to become better. Another day to contribute something meaningful. Not everyone receives another sunrise. Marcus never forgot that. The awareness followed him like a quiet shadow. Not threatening. Not frightening. Simply present. And because it remained present, he remained awake. Awake to beauty. Awake to gratitude. Awake to responsibility. Awake to life itself. As the night deepened and the stars appeared above Rome, Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. Somewhere beyond the palace walls, thousands of people slept. Most of them never imagined that an emperor sat contemplating mortality. Yet this contemplation gave him strength. Because a person who accepts death fears life less. A person who accepts mortality worries less about trivial things. A person who understands the limits of time becomes more careful about how that time is spent. And perhaps this is the greatest lesson Marcus Aurelius offers us. Do not wait for perfect circumstances before living. Do not postpone peace. Do not delay kindness. Do not assume there will always be another opportunity. Life is happening now. This moment. This breath. This sunrise. This conversation. This day. And one day, like every human being before us, we will leave it behind. Marcus knew this. And because he knew it, he treasured life more deeply than most. Not despite death, but because of it. For the shadow beside the throne was never merely a reminder that life ends. It was a reminder that life is precious. And every morning before dawn, Marcus Aurelius awoke with that understanding. While the city slept, while the empire rested, while the world remained quiet, he remembered the truth that guides every wise life. Time is limited. Character is priceless. And today is a gift that should not be wasted.